I've just removed this control unit out of this Frigidaire unit with model number FFEF3043LSH, and the reason for that is we have the oven intermittently working. If you're not sure how to remove this control board out of the unit, we'll have a video linked in the description below showing you exactly how to do that. Now I'm going to take this control board to our workbench and we're going to take a look at it under the microscope to see if there's any obvious reasons as to why the oven's intermittently working. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the control board out of its casing. To do that, I'm just going to use my little pry tool. And we have a couple of clips, so I'm just going to pry the board out on all sides. So when we removed the unit from the oven, we had our power going here and here. We also had our baking element and broiler element connecting into those two, and the return for both of those connects right here. So we're going to take a look at these two pins and this pin over here first, and how they connect in the circuit with the relays. So the far one right here does say bake, so obviously this is our baking element. And if we flip the board over, this is where it connects. Now to me, those connections do look pretty good. I don't see any reason why there would be any problems here. Over here, this guy here, we can see there is a ring forming around the pin. So this ring right here is indicative of a cracked solder joint beginning to form. And if we really zoom in on it, it's a little bit more obvious. We see that ring starting to form there, but it's not fully cracked, so I don't think this is our problem. All right, let's look at our next connector is over here, and that was our broil. That also looked okay. This was our incoming power connectors, and I believe this one was our return. So let's see, does the return have a crack? A little bit, beginning of a crack here. Let's follow that pad to right here. Let's look at that closer. Now this one, I can see a much more intense crack. I can actually see separation in the joint here, and it does look like it goes all the way around the entirety of the joint. So this is going to be the reason why we're seeing that intermittent problem. Now just so you see, this is the return right here. Now what this means is that actually instead of just the oven, like the customer reported, both the oven and the broiler will have this problem because this is the return line for both and it's a shared line. They probably only use the oven and most likely don't use the broiler often, and that's why they didn't notice it with the broiler and only with the oven. Regardless, we're going to resolder that and that should fix both issues. Now after taking a further look, I also noticed a few other cracked joints. So we have a little bit right here on this pin as well, and then of course these two pins. If we flip the board over, those corresponds to these relays, which are in charge of activating the oven and the broiler as well. So it's possible those cracked joints could have been the source of the issue, but regardless, we are going to reflow and resolder all of those connections, including the pinouts. All right, we're going to start with this joint over here. I'm going to add a little bit of fresh solder first, so it's a little easier to remove the old solder. And now I'm going to put a whole new fresh coat. I'm hanging out on the joint just for a couple extra seconds to make sure that I have good heat transfer between the iron and the pin of the relay. Like that, we have a nice strong bond. We'll do the same over here. Now these aren't very cracked. They don't look to have a lot of stress on them, so I'm not going to renew the solder. I'm only doing that on the relay leg because that one actually had some separation and possibly a little burning. And so of course I want to make sure that that's all gone because that could prevent a good joint. This solder over here just looks to be in decent condition. We're just trying to renew the joints, reflow it, add a little extra solder, make sure we have a good bond. Okay, this one also does look like it is cracked, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add some new fresh solder first, and then we're going to remove it all. And that's also to make sure that there isn't, any foreign material, meaning any burnt particles, because again, that will prevent a good bond sometimes. All right, very nice. So I'm going to add a little bit more solder here, get it to mix around with the original solder. And this way it'll be easier to grab all of that original solder back off of the joint. There we go. That looks a lot cleaner now. So that's why I usually add a little solder first, just it makes it a little easier to clean off that original solder. If I don't, then sometimes some of it still stays stuck inside the joint. All right, I'm going to do a final inspection and make sure that there are no other cracked solder joints anywhere else on the board. Okay, everything looks fine over here. Okay, and these are the legs of the transformer, which does have a lot of power going through it. Now, I think I do see what could be maybe the start of a cracked joint, so let's just go ahead and add some more solder to all of those joints, just in case. Okay, and the rest looks correct. Our last step is a quick little clean to remove all of that extra flux. Okay, now we have a nice clean board that's been fixed. We can go ahead and live test it in the oven. Okay, so we just plugged in our unit. We're gonna go ahead and hit the bake. We'll get that started. So if I point the heat sensor to the bottom, okay, it's heating up. It's a little hard to get it correct without moving, but we can tell our oven is now heating up. Okay, let's clear that. Let's go to the broiler. We'll go to high. All right, and it is heating up. Of course, we are going to extend test that control unit since it was an intermittent issue at first. However, because we did see clear signs of physical damage to some of those joints via those cracks, I'm highly confident that we have resolved that problem. If you want to send in your control unit for repair, we'll have links in the video description down below. You can click on those, it'll bring you to our website. We offer flat rate services with 1-year warranties. If you like the content, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.